My guest today is Janis Harris, flower farmer, entrepreneur, and leading voice in Canada's specialty cut flower market. She's the owner of Harris Flower Farm in St. Thomas, Ontario, where she's built a thriving operation and business that connects directly with her community through markets, subscriptions, and events. She's also vice president of the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers, a group representing growers across North America. And she's helped elevate the presence of Canadian growers and fosters a strong connected network across the country. Known for her leadership and willingness to share knowledge, Janis has become a mentor and role model to many in this industry, and a very fitting She Grows honoree. Janis, on behalf of Greenhouse Canada and Fruit and Veg magazines, thank you so much for taking the time to have this chat with me. And congratulations on being one of the first She Grows honorees.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me.
I really want to start at the beginning here. So can you tell me a little bit about your background and sort of the history around Harris Flower Farm and just some of the big turning points in your career what got you to this point?
Yeah. Well, I actually grew up on an organic vegetable farm. And my parents, they always said they were organic before organic was cool. And they had vegetables and a mixed farm and poultry and beef and everything. And as a teenager, I was like, I want nothing to do with farming. I'm going to go and find a job in the city and I want like a career. So I went to school to be an optician. So that was my schooling. So I did that for several years. I worked in different settings in like opticals and optometrist offices and that. And I did that. And then I met my long distance boyfriend at the time who was from a beef cow operation. And I guess I wanted to prove that I was still a farm girl or something. So he's now my husband. So I guess it worked out. But I wanted to grow something and do something after work. So mom and dad were still going to the Horton Market in St. Thomas here with their vegetables. And mom suggested I grow gladiolus. So the first year I put in 3,000 gladiolus. And I had my husband, I'll call him husband now, I won't call him boyfriend anymore. My husband helped me with planting and picking and selling those flowers. And we put in 3,000 that summer. And then it just grew from that. Every year I wanted to plant something more, some other thing. And I was growing like at mom and dad's, I was growing at my grandparents', and wherever anybody would let me work up some ground, then I was planting things in there. So that was 18 years ago. And so a long time ago, we've been doing this a while. And then I had 3 children in the meantime of that too. So I was, as on my maternity leaves, I was like figuring out flower farming a little bit more and doing that. So then in 2011, we bought my grandparents' farm. So it was a cash crop dairy farm, and we turned it all into flowers. So all of the fields and that are now flowers, and our greenhouses we've built on the farm. But that was in 2011. And then, so I was still working as an optician, and like, luckily I worked at some offices where they were like, yeah, you can drop down your hours in the summertime and work more in the wintertime. And they were really good about that. But then it got to be where I was paying my helpers to work so that I could go to work. I was like, well, this isn't really working. So I decided that it was kind of funny looking back now. March of 2020 is when I quit being an optician. That was planned. It wasn't COVID related or anything.
Yeah.
That was planned. My first year being a flower farmer was in a global pandemic. So that's super fun. But that was my first year full-time flower farming. So and since I've been, I'm on the farm full-time. My husband does work off the farm during the day, but I manage our team. There's usually about 7 people plus me. And yeah, so it's been a long road, and it's kind of changed around different ways, and yeah, figure it all out.
Do you think you could quantify, like you say you started, your first crop was 3,000 gladiola.
Yeah.
How many flowers a year would you say now?
Oh, I don't even know numbers wise. We grow about like 8 acres of flowers. So we grow in the field, and then also we have a couple heated and unheated greenhouses.
Mhm.
So we grow in those spaces as well. So in total, it's about 8 acres, but it changes throughout the season. Like we're planting stuff in multiple times in the same space. So it's tons and tons of flowers.
How many different varieties are you growing nowadays?
No idea. No
No
idea. I mean,
idea.
it
Yeah.
just goes through the season. Like it's easier to say like what is when. So we start off our season in February. We're picking pussy willows and those kind of cold branches, and then we go into forced and greenhouse grown tulips. Then outside into the daffodils, ranunculus anemone. Right now, the lilacs are going to be starting anytime
Yeah.
soon. So into that, and then into the regular annuals like zinnias and marigolds, sunflowers, lilies, celosia, kind of, and then we go into the lisianthus and dahlias and all that. So it's really just a full season of flowers.
No kidding. I already can anticipate how this answer is going to be, but what does a typical day look like for Janis on the Harris Flower Farm, and what part of this work are you most drawn to?
Yeah. Well, luckily I have a really great team, and this is one of the first years that we have only one new person on our team. So we have like six of a team is returning, and that's really great for seasonal work because they do get laid off in the wintertime when the flowers are not going. So to have them come back another year is just great. So there's some of them that are on 3 and 4 seasons, and some of them that are on multiple years. So that's really good. So on a day, well, it's changing every day. And I think that's what's really cool about it is that it's like sometimes we're picking and sometimes we're planting, or then we get orders come in on our website and we have to make an arrangement, or the wholesale grocery store needs an order. So we have to make up an order for them. So we're just always constantly moving and doing stuff. Makes the day go by really fast. Also probably makes my hair grayer than it needs to be, but I mean, it just goes, it's a busy farm, and I like the changes. I like doing different things. I don't want to sit and do the same thing all day. I like changing around, doing lots of different things.
I mean, and that must be quite a change of pace from like optometry.
Yeah, yeah. Like being in a retail store kind of environment. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
different, and we have to be so ready. Like even yesterday, I was so mad at the weather because I had
Yeah.
told our field crew not to come in because it was like for the past week it said that it was going to rain a whole bunch all day yesterday. So I said, okay, guys, like don't come in tomorrow. And then yesterday it didn't rain until like 3 o'clock or something, and I could
Yeah.
have had them doing stuff. So yeah, it's every day changes, and we have to just, and I hate the word, but we have to pivot all the time and do different things.
We're going to talk about your broader role in the industry now. And as you've played a big role in strengthening the Canadian representation within the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers,
Mhm.
ASCFG, and they represent growers from across North America. What has motivated you to take on that sort of advocacy work?
Well, I've been a member, I think it's 12 or 13 years now. And my first membership, my mom got it for me as a birthday present. So I
Okay.
was like, oh, okay. I didn't, at the time, I was like, I don't know what this is, but okay, thanks, mom. Like, I'm not sure
Oh,
what you got me. But so then a few years in, one of our first like family vacations with our little kids, like the two of our kids were around then. And we went on our first like family driving vacation down to the middle of Ohio to a regional conference that the association had. And I was like, this is really cool. I'm like talking to other people who want to talk about flowers all day. Like, this is really neat. So then getting involved a little bit more. And then I went to a few other conferences and regional meetings and that. And then I remember one year they had a really big tour that I wanted to go to. They scheduled it for Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. And I was like, really? Like why would you do that? Like how is anybody supposed to get to this? Well, they didn't pay attention to it in the States because they didn't think about Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I kind of started to make some noise in that about what was happening and having it on like Canadian holidays and different things like that. And then I kind of said how like Canada is different and we have different needs and our suppliers are different and all that. So I think I kind of made enough noise that it was like, okay, maybe we better like think about what role the Canadians have, because before we were just kind of like we were grouped with like Michigan and a bunch of the other
Yep.
like northern states, and it was like, but we're so much different. Like we can't just like just because we're the same growing zone doesn't mean that we're the same like suppliers and the same ability to get things and that. So yeah, I kind of made the role for the Canadian director and then was elected the first Canadian director of the association.
That's amazing, though. Like I think that's one of the reasons why your nomination resonated with us, right? Like you put other growers like you on this side of the border on the map, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge accomplishment. So
Yeah.
well done.
Thanks. Yeah. I served as the Canadian regional director for 2 terms and then took a year off. And then the vice president role came up. And I right away kind of thought it was a strategic move as well, because if I won as vice president, then there would then be 2 Canadians on the board, because there would be the new Canadian director and myself. So
Yeah.
that was another reason for running for the vice president.
Yeah. The northern takeover.
Yeah.
How would you describe then your approach to leadership, whether you're on your farm or within these organizations or in your online communities?
Mm-hmm. I would definitely say like just longevity, and that's kind of a thing for me, like sustaining, and not even like like sustainable, the like cool word sustainable, but like sustainable, like and longevity, that we're staying in the business and doing this for a long time. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people have found like right around COVID, it was like, oh, I'm gonna grow some stuff, or I'm home from work, I'm gonna do this or whatever. And then like year 2 and 3, it's like, oh, this is kind of hard. Like this is flower farming is a hard thing. It's not what I thought it was gonna be. So like just sticking with it. And I think that's also come from my parents as well. Just the stick with it and the like working through good seasons and bad seasons. We have all of those. So yeah, that's kind of my approach, is just continuing in longevity.
In your nomination sent to us by fellow grower Brenda Visser of Flowers of the Field, she emphasized the role you played in supporting and educating others in the business. I get the sense that she has benefited from that herself. And she talked about how all the ongoing work that you're doing and advocacy you do isn't just about growing your business, it's about everybody else. Why is it important to you to take on that responsibility?
I think it's just to show that we have a place, because there's lots of different types of flower farmers, and there's like field grown and like specialty cut flowers, and that is different than maybe someone who's growing a monocrop in a greenhouse 365 days a year. Like there's differences between that. And like I was saying, how everything changes every day. Well, when we're planting different things, like we're always having to think about planting and picking and all that at the same time, which is different than maybe other ways that that growers in the floral industry or are known for. So I think like just having a place, and I think of this for like I guess I talk a lot, right? Like I say a lot of things, because like anytime there's like an OFA thing, or there's a Canada Agriculture, and all of the pictures are like vegetables and cows and chickens and whatever, and I'm like, and Canada Agriculture is flowers too.
Yeah.
So I'm always like reminding that flowers is agriculture as well, because I guess I am proud to be like the farmer part of it too.
Yeah. So, what kinds of questions or challenges do you often hear from newer flower farmers, and how do you support them?
Yeah, lots of times it's like how to like make their own space or have a place. And then there's always lots of pricing questions too, which is really hard to answer because everybody prices differently. We're in different markets, we're selling different ways. So there's always questions about pricing, about like how to as well, and like how do you do something. So I'm always want to help with that kind of stuff, like say, well, this is how I've done it, but maybe try it a different way, or they think, is this maybe going to work? Well, try it. If you think it's going to
Yeah.
work, like try it and see. Because I think that's the one thing that newer to agriculture, they want, okay, this is how we do it. We do this and then this and then this, and that's how it happens. And it's like, well, that doesn't always work. And like some years you can do the exact same thing and it works, and some days do the same thing and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you have to really figure out and understand. And there was years ago, I would read posts from like farmers in like Washington State or somewhere like that, where I wanted to learn about growing ranunculus. And I was like, well, they say that you plant them at this time and you do that and do that. Well, mine all rotted because I wasn't thinking. I'm in southwestern Ontario. I'm not in Washington State. So you really have to like figure out who to learn from. So I'm always like pointing to make sure. And the ACFG is one of the great resources because it's like research based, or it's like farmer based. So it's real good education rather than maybe like a YouTube video or like a different way to learn like that. So figuring out who to learn from.
Mm-hmm. In your experimentations and stuff, like, do you trial extensively, like new varieties, and
Yeah, we're
is
part
that
of like
built?
the ACFG has seed trials every year.
Mm-hmm.
So they do send us different types of varieties to trial. So we do that. And then I'm always one that like almost every year it's like, okay, I want to try something new. And some things fall off the wagon and some things come on. But like a couple of years ago, we added roses because I was like, and they were all like specialty roses and that. And some of them worked out well, some of them have not. Some of them have reverted to their root stock, and other ones are doing great in the greenhouse. So
Yeah.
it's really just always learning and doing stuff and trying things and seeing what will work. A couple of years ago, we had eucalyptus over winter out in the field and was totally fine. So it's really it. I mean, you never know from year to year.
Yeah.
Last year we had a horrible tulip crop, and because it was so wet and they rotted in the ground. Whereas this year we've got like the tulips coming out of my ears right now. So it's like it's really every year, and that's what I think people need to understand, like the ebbs and flows of long time farming. It's not every year is not going to be perfect. 5 years in, you might be like, oh yeah, I've had really great luck. It's been really good, and then that one year, it really humbles you pretty quick, and you figure out that okay, I need to learn a little bit more about this maybe, or this is why this is happening, or yeah.
I could see how like this would be a humbling profession.
Yeah.
Because you're right,
Yeah.
there's so many variables, and there can be so much unpredictability. Part of the reason we're here is because we're celebrating women in horticulture, in honor of the UN's designation of 2026 being the year of the woman farmer. So one of the things I would like to ask you is, what has been your experience like working in floriculture as a woman entrepreneur, and how does that shape how you lead today?
Yeah, I mean, think back to the time when we had been on our farm for maybe 2, 3 years or something like that. And I realized that I had my own tractor. My husband's tractor that we had for other things was too big and it wasn't working right for what I needed it to do. So I researched all of the different tractor like that companies, and I tried to figure out, we went to all of them. We went and tried out. I knew what size I wanted. I knew everything about it. And it was really how I was treated at the dealership that decided where we bought them. So like
Wow.
the one,
Okay.
totally, yeah, it was crazy. Like the one or one or so was like the one guy wanted to sell me the most expensive model. I was like, well, I don't really need that. That's not what I want. And he didn't have anything in the showroom, didn't want to show me anything really. So it was like, okay, that one's out. And then we went to another one, and that one we went with the three kids, and Mark was there, and like he was supposed to be out in the showroom area looking after the kids. Well, the salesman kept wanting to talk to him, And he kept talking to Mark and asking things to Mark. And Mark finally said, it's her tractor. She knows what she wants. Talk to her. Like, she's the one who's buying this tractor. So then we ended up going into the office, and he tried to talk me into the tractor that was in the showroom. And I said, well, it doesn't have enough horsepower in the PTO. It won't run my rototiller. I wanted to run my rototiller, and I want a bucket on the front. So
Yeah.
okay. Well, we'll look into it, but I think the one in the showroom would be really good for you. So I said, well, price out what I actually want. And he ended up calling my husband's phone to tell him the pricing. So we, needless to say, did not buy there. Yeah. And where we did go, they actually brought the tractor out for me to have at the farm, and I was able to try it out, drive it around, and learn all about it. This was like 10 years ago. Even in this time, that was still happening. And yeah, super frustrating.
Yeah, no, that's frustrating. That is. There are a lot of women in this
There are,
industry.
yes.
And that experience, like how has that been working with all of these women too, and building this industry?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a group kind of thing where we feel like together and we're working together on things. I look at it two ways. So I'm building this industry up so that my daughter could do well in this industry if she wanted to. I'm not forcing any of them to do it because I didn't want to when I was a teenager, but that she could. But then also the other side of it too, that if either of my sons wanted to, then it's not why is that guy dealing with flowers kind of thing. Like, that's not a man thing to be doing. So I mean, there's both sides of it, I think, for the industry. But yeah, I mean, I think women farmers like have a thing together. We cheer each other on when we do big things, like able to put the rototiller on ourselves and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there is that kind of like camaraderie together.
What's something you understand? And this is kind of interesting because part of your career has been not on the farm, it's been in an optometrist's office. So what's something that you understand now about farming leadership or business that you wish you knew before getting started?
I think just that we have a place in the industry, that flowers are a part of agriculture. They are, even though they're not food, they are a part, and just being vocal about it and telling people about it. Once like our customers and people hear about local flowers, they think, oh, I never even thought where the flowers come from, kind of thing. So just being aware and being present in the industry and also in the community so that people know that what is available out there.
Yeah. To kind of wrap up here, what does, when you think about your journey and the community that you've helped build around flowers, what does She Grows mean to you in this context?
Like, I've been part of different like networking groups and that kind of thing, and it's all working together and like growing together and having a space. One of the groups that I was part of locally, we called it Elevate Her. So it was like being together, working through things and talking through things. Yeah, just being part out there in the community and out showing that we can do things, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good note to end on. And the point you're making about flowers and agriculture, it's well received because flowers are like little pieces of joy that you just serve to people, right? And I think they go a long way to help to supporting people's mental health and just making the world a better place. So, that your point is well taken. And I do believe that others, that will come across to others as well. So I just want to say, Janis, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And congratulations on this well-deserved recognition.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an exciting email to receive. So
I'm glad. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to thank Janis Harris, who is among one of our first She Grows inductees, for joining me to talk about her role as a woman grower in the Canadian horticulture industry. And on behalf of Greenhouse Canada and Fruit and Veg magazine, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out the conversations with our other inspired growers featured as part of this year's group of She Grows honorees.